Today we have some wrestling action figure news that is pretty exciting, man. We're going to get into it. We have a leaked lineup of figures that we're going to get into, and I'm going to give you everything about it. And to me, it's not even about the leaked lineup necessarily. To me, it's about what the leaked lineup kind of says about what's to come in the future. So we're going to get into it right now, man. So basically, I do want to give a huge shout out to my man, the Fig Heel, because he did post this up on his Instagram, and I want to cover this because I think it's a big deal. So we're going to get into it here. He posted up a leaked lineup that Walmart.com, you guys know Walmart.com, they're always leaking shish on accident. These websites, they upload these things early because they get the listings so early. And so people don't know what they're doing. There's a miscommunication in the chain of command, and then you end up having mistakes or leaks like this because it's they're not meaning to. They just kind of put that out there, and then people discover it on the website or whatever from a listing that's coming down the line, and then bam, there you go. That's how it happens. And today, that's kind of what we have here. But this was posted up. I'm going to put the thing on the screen. So we have a few different ones to look at. And I'll get into the most important one first because I think it's a big deal, like I said. So this one says, WWE Mark Henry as Balrog. So Balrog, if you guys are wondering what the blue hell is Balrog. So Balrog is a Street Fighter character. Yes, he is a character from Street Fighter. As we know this year and back at San Diego Comic-Con, we have been getting these WWE Elite Street Fighter crossover figures with the Street Fighter figures. So you have WWE and Street Fighter coming together. And we found some of these just the other day. I have a toy hunt that I'm going to be posting up later on. But we found these the other day. I am missing The Rock, but they have Rey Mysterio as Ryu. You have Ultimate Warrior as Blanca. And then we did have the M. Bison Rock final boss figure. And so this has been kind of a crossover deal. And we already know about multiple lines that are coming. But it looks like in the next set, we know up to Wave 3. This is going to be Wave 4 is what everybody is kind of, you kind of figure it out, right? I mean, this is the one listed. I guess it could be Series 5 or something. But Series 4 makes the most sense because Series 3 and Series 2 are not even out yet. So Series 4, Mark Henry as Balrog. And I'm putting up images of the characters so you can kind of see what the character is going to look like. But to me, the biggest thing is Mark Henry. This was kind of speculated that Mark Henry was going to be getting figures this year. But the thing is this is a confirmation that we're going to be getting Mark Henry. Now, Mark Henry as Balrog, maybe that excites a lot of people. Maybe some people are over the moon about that news. But to me, it's exciting because now we know that we're going to be getting Mark Henry Elites, Mark Henry Ultimate Edition potentially, things like that. But what makes it even a step further is, if you guys did not know, Mark Henry has some of the worst action figures from Mattel, and mainly just Elites. And his Elite figures, aesthetically, he's kind of a Luchasaurus situation because aesthetically, the figure looks pretty cool. I mean, you have, he's a big dude and everything like that, but I have always felt that they made him a little too small in certain ways. I felt like he didn't really capture the grandness of Mark Henry, and also the figures did not move well whatsoever. The legs always, every single time, always had the snap back and forth thing. You couldn't even move the legs forward. The ankles get really loose on him, so he would plummet off shelves. It just was not as good as it possibly be. And we've had some decent looking Mark Henry's figures over the years, and the most recent one that we've ever gotten of Mark Henry was in the Decade of Domination Walmart exclusive wave. So looks like he will be returning back to Walmart here in the Street Fighter crossover figures. However, the Decade of Domination figure came out in 2020, I do believe, to celebrate, the Decade of Domination Mattel, right? That was 10 years running that Mattel had been making WWE figures. Hard to believe it's already up to 16 years. So it's been 6 years or so since we have seen Mark Henry in the WWE Mattel line, which is insane. And I think that 2026 could be the end of that. We're going to see more Mark Henrys this year, and I think this is kind of that first step. I bet we'll see some Mark Henrys either unveiled or revealed at WrestleMania in Vegas. Guarantee that those things will be on display, things like that. And then at Comic-Con, I'm sure we'll see some other stuff. But if they're making a Mark Henry Balrog, highly doubt that's the only thing we're getting of Mark Henry in 2026. Guarantee that we're going to get some probably mainline Elites, maybe a Legends Elite, maybe, some sort of other figures. Probably get some re-releases of some other Mark Henrys that have come and gone. Could see that in the Greatest Hits or from the Vault or some other things like that. Some of those exclusive Mark Henrys, including the Decade of Domination, maybe the Fan Central figure from way back in the day in the orange packaging. There's a lot of stuff you could do there with Mark Henry, but I thought that was the biggest one that I wanted to touch on first, is going to be Mark Henry as Balrog. So if you're a Street Fighter fan, let me know if Balrog is one of your favorite characters or whatever. But the next one I could definitely see, and the next listing that we have underneath this Mark Henry is going to be WWE Shawn Michaels as Veg. And Veg is not the correct name. It is going to be the Street Fighter character named Vega. And these two pretty much go together. I could absolutely see this. I'm actually excited to see what they do to execute this. And I have kind of a fan theory, or just a theory of my own, that I bet when they make this this figure, you can kind of see the resemblance to Shawn Michaels, right? The characters kind of align pretty damn good. So I think that's a pretty good selection for him. But I'm wondering on, what kind of shoes are they going to give Vega or Shawn Michaels here? Are they going to give him the kind of slip-on loafer type shoes that we saw in that Rock figure in that 3-pack? I could see them reusing those loafers, or maybe they'll do completely new sculpts. We've seen some reuse in these lines, but it seems like every character for the most part has gotten a brand new head sculpt. So we'll probably see some brand new head sculpts here for Shawn Michaels. Hopefully they look good. I really would love to see them get some outstanding Shawn Michaels head sculpts. I don't think they've ever really completely crushed it. I think there's some good ones out there, but I can't remember off the top of the dome just one that, the one that I really love is the Greatest Hits one, or the WrestleMania 30, WrestleMania 14 Shawn Michaels. That's probably my favorite one that they've ever done. But I mean, I guess there's some decent ones out there. I do like the new Ultimate that's coming, but those are mainly retooled hair on the same faces over and over again. So I don't know. We'll have to cross that bridge when we come to it. But Shawn Michaels as Vega should be pretty cool. I could see the resemblance. I could see them making a really cool figure and things. And I don't know, man. How are you feeling about the Street Fighter WWE figures as a whole? I feel like it's pretty niche because it's a niche within a niche, but the people that are probably buying the Street Fighter figures, like, you're trying to find not necessarily WWE and Street Fighter fans, because, sometimes I'll see a figure on the shelf, and this is my problem as a collector, and you could probably relate to this in some way, but I just like action figures in general. So, if I see a figure, especially if it's a damn, a company or a license that I like, or something that I hold dear, it's of course going to go up triple in the amount of want in the figure, right? I mean, but some people may be passing these and be like, oh damn, I didn't know they were making these, and just see that Ultimate Warrior Blanca and just being like, man, that looks incredible. I have to get this figure. So I don't know, man, but I do think that a full shelf of these Street Fighter WWE figures would be incredible. I don't think I'm going to put all of the, I don't think I'm going to put John Cena. I'll probably have to, right? I'll probably have to put a John Cena Guile in the John Cena timeline over there on his own shelf. But I think a complete shelf of these figures together, when you get all 4 waves or whatever in hand, are going to be incredible. But let's move on to the last figure right here, which doesn't give us a whole ton of news, but you can still see it. It says WWE TBD Player 2. Now that, to me, of course, does mean to be determined. So maybe they don't have or at the time of this listing, Walmart did not know what character this was going to be. However, we do know that it's going to be a Player 2. So a Player 2 in Street Fighter, if you were wondering, a Player 2 is basically, if you had 2 people playing beside each other, say, you're Player 1 and then you're Player 2 playing with your buddy. Say Player 1 wants to pick Blanca. Well, if Player 2 also wanted to pick Blanca, the way to tell them apart on the screen is they give them an alternate color. This is in a lot of different fighting games. Typically, if you select the same character, they change the character color so that obviously you don't look the exact same, so you don't get confused on the screen. Makes sense. So then, in Wave 3, we already saw a re-release. We're getting Ultimate Warrior as Blanca in the Player 2 variant, and we already know that we're getting a re-release of that Blanca. So in Wave 4, it looks like we're getting another Player 2, but I'm wondering what character they're going to pick. Now, I can think of a few different possibilities. Of course, if you're going to do a Player 2 of a character, you're probably not going to take it from Wave 3, because Wave 3 just came out. So Yokozuna, Dom, and Ultimate Warrior are a part of Wave 3. Yokozuna is going to be E Honda, Dom Mysterio is going to be Ken, and then Ultimate Warrior again is going to be Blanca as Player 2, or Player 2 Blanca, whatever you want to say. So in Wave 4, I would guess that they would probably pull a Player 2 from Wave 2, because Wave 1 already has a Player 2, and then Wave 3 just came out. So of the 3 from Series 2, John Cena as Guile, Bianca Belair as Cammy, and then Batista as Sagat, I would guess that they're probably going to do John Cena as Guile, and I will put John Cena as Guile up there. I will put up Player 2's version of Guile, or the Guile Player 2 version, and I will put that up there so we can kind of see what that's going to look like. And honestly, I hope that it is John Cena. Give you some different variations and colors and things like that. So we'd be getting a John Cena as Guile in the blue tank top, which makes a lot of sense to me. They could do Bianca Belair, I guess. They could do Batista, but I felt like John Cena would probably be the best seller of the 3, and I don't know. I mean, I guess I could be wrong there. It just makes the most sense, I guess, to me. But then Ultimate Warrior as Blanca seemed like the kind of the star of the Series 1. Not that Rey Mysterio or Rock weren't very good, but that Blanca figure is unbelievable. Probably one of the craziest looking figures ever with the creativity and just the amount of detail packed in there. I think that figure's insane. Have yet to unbox mine. I have it in hand. I just haven't unboxed it or reviewed it just yet, but that does look incredible. And then again, so in Wave 4, you can just go through the entire thing here. Let's start off with Wave 1 of the Street Fighter WWE figures. It's kind of unbelievable that we're going to have 12 different figures here in this WWE Street Fighter crossover. But in Wave 1, you have Rey Mysterio as Ryu, Rock as M. Bison, Ultimate Warrior as Blanca. Then in Wave 2, we have John Cena as Guile. You have Bianca as Cammy. You have Batista as Sagat, and then you have Wave 3, which we do not have prototypes or anything of. We just have render images. But you have Yokozuna as E. Honda. We have Dominic Mysterio as Ken. You have Ultimate Warrior as Blanca Player 2. And then in Wave 4, as seen today in these listings, you have Mark Henry as Balrog. You have Shawn Michaels as Vega. And then you have a figure that is yet to be announced as Player 2, which again, I am guessing that it's going to be John Cena just based off of different context clues, but I could be wrong. I could 100% be wrong, or maybe they'll pull from Wave 3. Who knows? I just felt like John Cena would probably make the most sense. But I want to get on here, talk about this leaked lineup, talk about this. Huge shout out to my man Fig Heel again for posting this up because I think that it's pretty cool. So we'll get into that. We'll talk about it. We will see how it all unpacks as we go. But I don't know. I'm trying to think if there's anything that I necessarily want to see. You know, I like Street Fighter. I was never a huge Street Fighter guy growing up, man. And there were some other games like that. I liked, as far as fighting games, I was more of a Smash kid. I really loved Smash. I also really liked Soul Calibur for whatever reason. Me and my brother used to just go to war on Super Smash, and then we would also, the OG Smash, Melee, we used to just fight for out. I still think I could, I don't know if I want to put this out there. I could beat everybody that watches this video in Smash. I don't know. Maybe there's some, there may be some elite Smash players out there. I'm not entirely sure. But we also played a lot of Soul Calibur. I'm trying to think if there's any other fighting games that we just, I also think I'm much more of a Mortal Kombat guy. I was a much more of a Mortal Kombat guy than a Street Fighter guy, but I do like Street Fighter, you know, but Smash, Mortal Kombat, Soul Calibur, that was probably my 3 main fighter games as a kid. But nonetheless, man, that is pretty much going to wrap up the news. Hope you guys did enjoy. I'd love to know what your thoughts are on this news down in the comment section below. But I'm getting out of here, man. I'd love to know what you think of Mark Henry. What do you think of the rest of this stuff? Are you even a fan of these Street Fighter figures? I know they're very skippable for a lot of people, but I think a lot of people also want them. I think there's a lot of fun for parts and stuff as well. I haven't unboxed Rey Mysterio or, Blanca Ultimate Warrior. I haven't tracked down The Rock just yet to really get him in hand to know if I can use some different stuff on surgery, make some fun fix-ups and customs. I can think of a couple for The Rock, which we'll get into. Nonetheless, man, I'm getting out. We got to get back to surgery, man. Dr. Whiteicus is on call. We got to get ready, but I'm getting out of here, man. I'll see you guys next time. Have a blessed one. I'll catch you guys later.